Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. For the new subscribers, thank you for subscribing. For the viewers, thank you for clicking this video. So in today's video guys, I'm going to be breaking down how I flipped $30 to $250 using the ICC concepts. Now guys, how I was able to do this was using this 3-step process. The first step guys is going to be the technical analysis. So essentially guys, I was able to analyze my chart in a way where I separated the buyers versus sellers. Then the second thing I was able to do was now the strategy itself. So essentially guys, how I flipped this was basically using a very small stop loss. And also guys, I'm also going to be telling you guys why session doesn't really matter in this sense, right? Because although I did find my first entry during the New York session, my second and third entry was actually in the Asian session, right? And also guys, with this particular trade, I was able to sleep and wake up in profit. So basically I took my trade, let's say on Tuesday, and I was able to sleep, wake up Wednesday, and I was basically in profit. And then guys, the third step is going to be the ICC entry. Basically guys, I was able to find my entries in the 1 minute time frame. That is why I was able to use a very small stop loss. So guys, let's jump straight into the charts and analyze this. So as you can see guys, this is literally the aftermath of how I placed my trade. Not this particular trade, but this trade right here. So as you can see, these are the aftermath right here. Now guys, let me break everything down from A to Z. So when it comes to my technical analysis guys, I like to start on the daily time frame. So essentially guys, how I found my entry was, number one, marking up my support and resistance in the daily time frame. So this is basically what I was looking at in the daily time frame, right? And also, like I told you guys, I like to color code all of my things. So if you do see blue, that means it's the daily time frame, right? So I marked this, and then I also marked this. So essentially guys, what I'm thinking is price is likely going to go all the way up to this area here with gold. Now guys, once I did this, as you can see, there's really not much going on the daily time frame. Literally this is all I marked, and then I went to the 1 hour time frame. Now guys, when it comes to the 1 hour time frame, how I like to analyze my chart is basically I like to find what area, right, did they separate the buyers versus sellers. So what I mean by this is guys, if you notice here, whenever price came from this area right here, right, for some weird reason, whenever price came in this area, it bought all the way up, as you can see. So whenever price came here, it bought up. Whenever price was under this area, it sold, right? So this is essentially what I mean by buyers versus sellers. So in this case here, this was how I marked my charts. And then also this was like my second markup right here. So if you notice how I'm marking my charts guys, it's basically buyers versus sellers in the sense of, as you can see guys, whenever price came to this area, it reacted very good. It came again, it reacted again. It came again, it reacted. So literally guys, you can see it's literally reacting more than 6 to 10 times. Now with that being said guys, essentially my first entry came from the New York session. So let me do this real quick. Boom. So if you notice guys, I like to trade during the New York session, but what I've come to understand is guys, at the end of the day, the session doesn't really matter in the sense of if the structure is good, then you take the setup, right? Which I'll explain even further. But as you can see guys, in this particular trade right here, right, price came during the New York session and then landed right here. Now if you notice, price came the first time, bought all the way up. I actually made like a 1 to 2 risk to reward right here. So if I go to this particular trade, notice how, right, if I go to the 5 minute time frame real quick, you're going to notice, right, I actually took a trade here the first time. So I took a trade the first time here, and I made a 1 to 2 risk to reward. And then the second trade, I actually lost on USD card. So at first I was up $40, and then I lost on USD card, and then I stopped trading USD card and I went straight to gold. So around, let's say 2 o'clock was when I actually found my actual entry that really made the difference, right? So at this time right here, I was literally, my account balance was around $24. So essentially guys, I was basically going all in, right? So how I was able to find this entry was very simple. When I trade sessions guys, I like to first off wait for price to come to my area of interest. So in this case here, this was my area of interest. So in my previous trade right here, right, the reason why I mark my area of interest this way is because, guys, as you can see, price reacted off the zones. So essentially, guys, I'm only taking my trades off my area of interest. So when price came to this zone the second time, which is right here, all I did, guys, was go to the 1 minute time frame. So essentially, I went to the 1 minute time frame and found my entry. And essentially, guys, my entry is the ICC Concepts, right? And if you don't know what that basically means, it's just this. So let's say price is already selling, right? And this is my area of interest right here. When price touches this area of interest, what I'm waiting for is now a break of the high of the previous high, which is this high. Once price break this previous high, the next step is for price to now retrace back down, and then immediately it comes back up to this previous high like this and closes. Then I take my trade. And in this particular trade, guys, I was basically aggressive and I took my stop loss basically right under here instead of here, right? So with that being said, guys, essentially what happened was, let me break this down real quick. So this was the trade, right? So price came from here, was going down and tapped the zone. So immediately it tapped this zone, guys, I marked up my high. So this was the high right here. So this was my high. As you can see, guys, it took a couple hours for price to creep back up. But if you notice, guys, it broke past that high. Once it broke, I waited for price to then retrace back down, and immediately it came back up, which is right here. This was where I took my trade. Boom. Stop loss literally right below here, right? And as you can see, guys, I literally rode this trade till oblivion, right? So with this particular trade that I did take, as you can see, let me zoom in real quick. Boom. So this is essentially where I took my trade, right, during the New York session. So this was my first trade, and as you can see, price came back up, and then I took my trade, and then my stop loss was literally right below here. And this was my first trade. Now my second trade was actually out of session. So if you notice, guys, when price was climbing back up, price actually came back and retested an area here. Now this area here, how I found this area again was basically just looking at it from a holistic point of view, right? In the sense of, guys, when you trade, you have some kind of experience that you would know, okay, price is about to do this. In the sense of, have you noticed, guys, whenever let's say there's a resistance zone or a support zone right here, sometimes, guys, price can literally do something like this, where like it's selling, right? It disrespects that zone, but then when it comes back up, it then now respects that zone and then buy up from there. So guys, I've literally seen this pattern play out so much that like this was essentially what I assumed price was going to do. So again, guys, essentially how I was able to find this particular zone was looking to the left. So if you notice, guys, around this area here, right, because I was actually watching price at this time around 11 o'clock. If you notice, guys, whenever price came to this area, even within this zone, even within these two zones, guys, there was still like an area of interest here where price was still respecting it. As you can see, boom, it respected it here, it respected it here, it respected it here. So here, guys, literally I was hoping that price was going to respect it, which obviously it did. So when price, again, like I said, tapped that zone, all I did was basically go to the 1 minute time frame. So I'm going to mark this up real quick. All I did was go to the 1 minute time frame, right, and wait for my ICC entry to play out. So essentially, guys, if I cancel this real quick, boom. As you can see, price was basically selling. So you can see was basically selling, right? Boom. When price tapped this zone, all I now did was wait for price to give me an entry. So price now broke a high here, which it did. It broke a high here. So it broke past this previous high. And then price now retraced back down. Immediately it came back up above this high. I took my trade right there, literally. So essentially, guys, this is the pattern you're looking for. So price is selling. In terms of entries, you wait for price to tap your area of interest. Once it taps it, wait for price to break the previous high, then retrace back down, and once it closes above this high like this, then you place your trade. So in this kind of trades, guys, I was basically very, very aggressive in the sense of my stop loss was now under here, under this low instead of this particular low here, right? So essentially guys, my stop loss was here instead of here, right? So because again, like I said, I was very aggressive with my entry, right? So back to the actual trade. So when price, gave me that entry, I took it, and as you can see guys, boom, I basically took that trade, right? So if I just cancel this real quick, I basically took the trade. So essentially I took the trade around somewhere around here, right? And then boom, price shot all the way up, and I literally held this trade. And also guys, I held the trade, and this was around 11 o'clock, so right before pre-London session. So I basically slept and I woke up in profit. So I think I pulled out somewhere around here. And as you can see guys, price is now reacting off my area of interest, and I'm anticipating price will likely buy all the way up here before it either sells or buy or whatever. So essentially guys, how I was able to flip $30 all the way to $250 was, number one, using a very small stop loss, right? And how I was able to use a very small stop loss was, first off, waiting for price to reach my area of interest. And then once I waited for price to reach my area of interest, I went to the 1 minute time frame and then waited for the ICC concepts to play out. And then I took my trade, and I was very, very aggressive with it, right? So in this case guys, this was how I was able to flip $30 to $250. So I hope you guys did gain a lot from this, and I hope you can be able to do the same thing. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.